You know, a lot of people don't know that.
Nerdgasm.
That is called a death.
Vindication with this show.
Nerdgasm.
Best comment of the show.
I'm going to bury my lightsabers in the dirt.
Basement dwelling theory craft.
Nerdgasm.
School us, Jarheed.
The actual Sequel-ogy can go fuck itself.
Basically like, you know, an angry mom.
And then the X-Wing came in and like I burst into fucking tears and it was great.
Broadcasting live from inside the power bands. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Mulvey Claus, along with my good friends Jar Kringle and Orange Sassy Santa.
What's up?
Welcome to the podcast, folks. This week we are talking about Season 2, Part 2, the wrap-up of The Mandalorian. And we are all very excited to talk about this. At least I know that I am.
Yeah, me too.
Are you guys excited?
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Yup.
Non-shitty Star Wars. Yay.
Couple things before we start. I want to remind everybody to jump in and join in on the conversation on social media. You can find us on all social media platforms using the handle at EBD Podcast. So join in on the conversation there. We spend a lot of time on Instagram chatting with all of our nerd friends out there in the EBD universe. Also, for new people coming in, we wanted to explain how the deaths work at the beginning of the show. Telling a bad joke will get you a death. Looking on the internet will get you an injection death. Mentioning Star Wars will get you a death. Mentioning The Matrix will give you a death. There are various other deaths that will happen throughout the show. Please keep track, and you'll learn as you go. Let's start the show.
I wanted to throw this out there real quick before we get into Mando. I'm sure you guys saw that the actor that played the original Boba Fett, Jeremy Bulloch, died a couple days ago. So just wanted to throw out a rest in peace, and it's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. He was a super memorable character from Last Jedi. I mean, Return of the Jedi.
And there's your
God.
first death,
wow.
folks. Say.
That is called a death right there, folks. A Star Wars double down death. Jesus. Get out my old death tally here. Super memorable character from Return of the Jedi. You know, loved him. We would always do impressions of him as a kid.
Yeah, same.
Because that's what nerds do.
In a brief nerd cul-de-sac, I had this crush on this British chick when I was growing up. And she said something, blah, 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 and I said, "As you wish," which was the same as Boba Fett's line and on the Death Star with Vader, and she thought I was referencing Princess Bride and was super impressed with my reference. And I was like, yeah, that's totally what I was going for. Little did she know it was Boba Fett all the way.
You turned around and you're like, put your palm on your head and you're like, I'm such a nerd.
And remember, no disintegrations.
Oh, love that line.
As you wish.
Yeah, that was like firmly establishing my nerd cred there.
Well done, my friend. Well done.
So at a high level, I really enjoyed this season overall, and I'm really enjoying that they took 2 seasons to kind of flesh out this first arc, which seems to have concluded here. And yeah, man, high fives all around. Like, I definitely have some gripes of Kev, which we'll get into later, but nothing major. I really enjoyed it.
Ooh.
What about y'all?
Benny, lay it down, bro.
No complaints here.
Right?
I had a hell of a time watching this season. It was really, really good. I'm not saying a lot because the first season was great, and it's definitely hard to top or at least maintain, but I think they definitely did it this time around. It's really, really great season of television.
Yes, very much so. I say we have talked in the past about sequels and television sequels, and after the first season comes out, you know, you kind of lose the freshness and the high and all that. And this, I would say, is a rare television season where they were able to not only duplicate the excellent quality of the first season, but they were able to elevate it and make it somehow even better and more exciting. You know, great writing, the whole Megillah.
You could argue that that's, you know, because it's stepping into an already kind of huge universe, and it's stepping into a space where people are hungry for something good. You know, like everyone's desperate for some good fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, Chad. I think that it's people are not only hungry for something that's good, but, you know, like the three of us, like taking away all of our jokes and vitriol for a second, like, there's the new 3 movies, trilogy, sequel-ogy, whatever the hell you want to call it. There's another nice made-up word for you, Chad.
I like it.
The sequel-ogy just really disappointed a lot of people, and us in particular, and I mean, really, at the end of the sequel-ogy, I'm so into that word now.
I like it. It's a great word.
Not only was I so bummed out by just the horrible contemporary sort of familiar dialogue, but I just was fatigued. I was like, I'm just sick of all of this. This sucks, So when Mando came out, I mean, it's just I think people were rattled, and needed something good too. So, doubly so that they were able to achieve that on this season. So there you go.
I'm with you.
Let's just let's start grinding through the Sorry, you go.
I had a question. I was just leaving some space there, but I had a question that kind of lines up here, maybe. On that kind of train of thought, Kev, I had a question I wanted to pose, which is if there were no sequel-ogy, do you think you would judge this more harshly or judge it differently? Because I feel like for me that might be the case.
It might be. It would also be coming out with a massive gulf of time between Revenge of the Sith and this. So just positing for a second that the sequel-ogy didn't exist, you would have nearly 20 years, I think,
it's stupid
between
hype.
Those two things. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, I probably would be psyched, especially if it was The Mandalorian, but yeah, probably would be, getting out my extra powerful little nerd monocle there so I could, scrutinize it with atomic detail, quantum detail even.
Yeah, when it comes to Star Wars, time is the only thing that seems to tell. So I don't know if I would scrutinize it more or not. The distinction I did want to make before is that, we've talked about Star Wars fatigue a ton on this show. But I guess something valuable that I've learned from watching The Mandalorian is that I still love Star Wars. And I was really wondering about that by the end of The Rise of Papa Palpatine. I was wondering if, maybe I just have been duped all these years and I actually hate Star Wars and it's just taken me this long to figure it out.
Sure. Or outgrew it or something.
So it's good to feel a sort of vindication with this show.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the important distinction to make here, for me anyways.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I'm going to nominate that for best comment of the show, and we're only 5 minutes in. That was awesome.
I don't necessarily want to go down a major side avenue here, but I just kind of feel like, from my perspective, I feel very similar, Ben, and also, while I may not love the sequel-ogy and find it frustrating in a variety of ways, I've got nothing against the cast from the sequel-ogy, whatever, that's fine. It's just the decisions that were made. We covered it a lot in the other episodes, but I kind of do want to say, in relation to Mandalorian, that, I don't personally have any sort of gripes with Kathleen Kennedy. I know there's a lot of vitriol out there surrounding her involvement in taking over the Star Wars universe. I feel like she was very integral to this with Filoni and Favs, and I feel like the burden of the issue with Star Wars is not can't just be stuck on one person, and so it's nice to see that it's in good hands now, and I feel comfortable and confident that it's in good hands, and it's a delight to see what happens when it's in good hands, or maybe when they hit their stride is maybe a different way to say it, because this was great.
What can you just give me a super hyper short refresh? What did she do that everybody doesn't like?
Oh, nothing, in my opinion.
I think it's she's a woman, and she was in charge, and
everyone wanted to hate on her.
Just wanted to needed a scapegoat, and they made her it.
Oh, for the sequel-ogy?
For everything that's not enjoyed about Star Wars since Lucas sold it. Every single problem with it, no matter what it is, it's her fucking fault. And I kind of strongly disagree with that meme that's taken shape, and I just kind of want to say at the get-go that
feeling
this is proving to me what I already thought, which is it's a bunch of stupid people making stupid accusations, and clearly she is perfectly capable as a executive producer / leader, because she and Favs and Filoni did a great job on this along with their team.
I am feeling a gigantic rant bubbling up from the bowels of Kev right now, and I'm using my martial skills to hold it back and decide whether
Don't give in to your hate, Kev.
whether I want to give into my hatred or not, because I am ready to freaking explode like a volcano. That annoys me so much. I can't even say.
Let it flow through you.
Let it flow through you.
Hatred leads to suffering.
I think it would actually lead to me feeling better. But that is the most annoying thing I think I've heard in the last 6 months.
Yeah, there's no shortage of dumb opinions on the internet, in case you didn't know. Let's focus on the good stuff.
I don't know if there are any merits to any, I don't know any, I haven't seen any specific stories, or any specific things that could relate her to, some gigantic wrongdoing. I don't know of any out there. So I can just only assume that it's just, typical nerd vitriol, basement dwelling, theory craft and such.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I think, there's definitely like speculation that it was a major factor in the failure of the third of the Sequel-ogy movies and the plot changes and blah, blah, blah. No one gives a fuck. If you want to listen to stuff about the Sequel-ogy, listen to the episode we did on it. I would much prefer to enjoy talking about this one.
Yeah, that sounds to me more like a bunch of corporate D-bags.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumping their failure on a woman who's an easy target. And I'm going to put my rage in the box, and we're going to move on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's start talking about episode
5.
Sure. What the chapter number is?
Do you mean 13?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, the 5th episode of the season.
Chapter 13.
Rosario Dawson samurai movie.
Why did you say that like that? Because it was like that, and I thought it was awesome.
I'm not saying it's a
I
bad
watched
thing.
it again. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was beautifully shot. Really great homage to
The
classic samurai films.
yeah, the Japanese bent on it was great. I think.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I need you to write down a death. I said homage.
Yeah, the death is that you didn't say Hors d'oeuvres.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm not using the proper nomenclature.
Oh, get your lore straight, man.
Get it right. It's your fucking show, man.
Yeah, I was going to say Favreau directed it, but he didn't. He directed the first episode of IIRC. And I don't remember who directed it, but it was just great. Great lore about Jedis and Grogu. We finally get to learn the kid's name, which was awesome. We get Ahsoka in the form of Rosario, who is just don't even need to say anything. She's pretty much elevates every single project she works on. And just the whole, of course, we got Michael Biehn in this episode as well, which just
That was pretty legit.
thrilled me to the nines. Oh, my God. And it just the combination of Western and samurai in this episode was just fantastic, man. I have spoken.
It was like the moonshine concentrated version of samurai western, Star Wars kind of source material.
Excellent. Yeah, this one was directed by Dave Filoni, which makes sense because Ahsoka Tano is his creation.
Is that right?
And a character that I've really grown to love from watching Clone Wars and Rebels. And it's really great to see her live action on the screen. I think Rosario Dawson did a great job of portraying a very mature, sort of introspective version of the character. And yeah, it was so good. Such a good episode. And I really loved seeing Michael Biehn.
I know.
Yeah, he was so good, man.
He's back, baby.
Right at the get-go. I was like, is that?
I loved it. Like, even the dialogue was a direct shout out.
Yeah.
Did the same thing, Ben. I did this exact same thing.
Yeah, it took me a minute to figure it out. I was like, that guy looks familiar. Oh, who is he? And then I was like, oh my God, it's Michael Biehn. Is that Michael Biehn?
I know. Oh, it's a legend.
It was lost on me until towards the end when he had his kind of final moments. But at that, I was like, oh my God, it is. Because Tombstone was a new movie for me when we covered it earlier in the year. So yeah, that was just masterful.
It was. I'll segue to that while we're there. I loved the one side of the wall is the Western showdown finale, and the other side of the wall is the Japanese samurai finale. I mean, like, how good was that, right? The staff of pure Beskar that cannot be cut by lightsabers, and then you've got the ex-military merc, and they're just waiting, itchy trigger fingers. And it's just so great. Loved that Mando just twirled his gun around like Johnny Ringo before he put it back into his holster, too. It's so great.
It was just perfect. I think it's an obvious choice, but him pretending to like put his gun down and then doing the quick draw at the end, it was just such a nice touch, like it's just like every other. It's kind of a trope, but I just love that it was used there. Yeah,
it's a trope for sure, but a good one. So is the spinning of the gun, but it almost wouldn't feel right if it didn't go down that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the context too, Ben, made those tropes welcome.
Absolutely.
Oh,
hey, so glad to have you, Sly.
Hey, Sly, while you're here, man. One of our fantastic listeners wanted to know what the toothpick budget was for Cobra. Would you like to comment on that?
Absolutely. Let me see here. Okay, so I had one toothpick through the whole movie. So let's see. When did I play Marion Cobretti?
Would you like Jimmy Google to assist you on that one?
It was
do I have to ask?
Yeah, maybe we're dead here because,
Hey, look, I've been in a lot of movies. I can't remember every single thing I've done.
Every goddamn movie. Fair enough. 86.
Okay, 1986, one match. You figured these days a pack of matches costs like maybe $1.39. So just for inflation, one match, less than a penny.
Hey, Slide, do you think a lot of people know that?
A lot of people don't know that.
Thanks, Sly.
And that concludes our viewer mail section, folks.
Fuck those absolute genius. Thank you.
Thanks, Sly. Hey, you're welcome. No problem.
Dude, Omar's going to be so pumped.
Who was that? Who sent that message, Chad?
Omar sent us a message on Facebook.
Yeah, he's a Turbo fan. There's your shout out, bro.
I have no idea where we were. Where were we?
We love you long time. Thanks for listening.
Okay, since I have no idea where we were there, I just want to throw out that
we were
that this one. Well, do you know where we were, and you want to go back to it because I've got a change of topic on this episode. Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay. Unless you guys have any other comment, I've got a gear shift in the same episode.
Yeah, we got to keep going. So move on.
I have no idea where we are, but this segue fits into another Horsey over where I felt like this was a solid crib from Irontown and Princess Mononoke with Lady Eboshi. Like, it was so much a call out to that, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
You might not be familiar with that one, Kev. You mentioned you didn't watch a lot of
I don't
Miyazaki stuff, but I would imagine Benny would know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I have. I don't know that material as well as you guys. I have watched the ones, of course, that Jar Kringle has recommended to me some numerous times.
Yes, I recall that. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah, that was just a very brief description of it. Is like there's a mining town that's destroying the forest around them, and the lady who's in charge of that mining town sends out someone to kill a god in the forest. So it's very, very, very similar look and feel to this one. So anyone who's familiar with Mononoke would definitely have gotten that vibe. So it's worth saying it.
Knowing Filoni, that was probably a purposeful hat tilt there.
Oh, almost positive, yeah. I really loved the like rooftop running samurai stuff. Like there's so much awesome samurai tropes in this.
Amazing.
the way he blended the elements of the Western, which are embodied by Mando, and the elements of the samurai, embodied by the magistrate and Ahsoka, was just so seamlessly beautiful, man. You know, like even the small things, like when the Asian guy, who I guess became the magistrate at the end, or possibly was the former magistrate, he opens his door a crack, and Mando just like turns and looks at him, and then he just like he gives him a nod, and the guy closes the door, like so like Western, with like the townspeople peeking out the door, and then the gunslinger being like, "Go back inside," or whatever. So super cool. I'm with you guys on that, 100%.
Yo, micro nugget on the magistrate dude, the guy that takes back control of the town after all the baddies are dead. The dude's name is Wing Tao Chao, and he's evidently a legendary Disney Imagineer.
What?
Yeah, he's like an executive in the Disney Imagineering space, and like got this little cameo. It's kind of a cool little nugget.
Cool.
Dude, I loved, not to belabor this episode because we got 3 more, but like, I loved that guy and his part and the way it was played. He doesn't say a single word until the very end when they go to release that prisoner. And I was like, God, that's just so beautifully done, man.
Yeah.
Really, really like that.
He does say, like, please don't talk to us. Yeah.
You're right. Yes, don't talk to the children or whatever. Yeah, you're right, Ben. Sorry, but you know what I mean.
But maybe just the minimal dialogue is well done.
Yeah, to backtrack over my poor knowledge of the episode, it was the minimal speaking that really spoke to me.
To try and undo that death.
My God.
You mean?
This is, you know what this is? This is a death. I'm gonna write it down right
now
because that was just egregious.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to mark that down as a death.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to go ahead and mark that down.
Which is an amazing bit of foreshadowing there. That reference.
Yes, it is.
So, Kevin.
Oh man, I'm racking them up today. I love it. Peter, what's happening?
To tie up my kind of last couple of rando bits in here, my rando Mando bits, similar to what you were saying about the samurai tropes, I really kind of, maybe it isn't a samurai trope per se, but maybe it's a Star Wars trope.
So how do you guys feel about Mambo?
Mando, Rambo, Rando.
Did you say Mambo?
Mambo.
Is it First Order or something like that instead of First Blood? The Final Order.
Mambo.
Mambo, Final Order.
Was he a dropper on Alderaan?
He would totally be a dropper, right?
With a little rebel tattoo under his eye, like a sweet tear.
Or, there you go.
I'm totally going to Photoshop a little rebel symbol on Rambo First Blood. That's, yeah.
Definitely.
It's definitely happening. Or maybe Benny. That's something you could do. All right. Anyways,
or an orange jumpsuit on him.
The
sweaty Stallone with an orange jumpsuit, pilot suit rather. Go ahead. Anyway,
what is call sign be, man?
Ooh,
Rocky 5 standing by.
Rocky 5? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like Red 5 standing by. He's like Rocky 5 standing by.
All right. Let's do the thing. So Ben, you do the Sly voice, right? So
right.
Chad will say,
"This is Admiral Akbar. Commence attack run. All wings report in."
Red leader standing by. All wings report in.
Red 4 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 2 standing by. Yeah, Rocky 5 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 8 standing by.
It's the Shrike?
Sorry I'm late, guys. I had to stay in the shower a little extra longer and get some hot water on me. Boy, that murder workout this morning really made me sore. For some reason, I'm really feeling it in my lats today. Absolutely. You know, a lot of people don't know that.
Rocky 5, this is Red 6. You're a little too close to my wing. Can you back off?
Absolutely. Let me see here. Okay, so I had one toothpick through the whole movie. So let's see. When did I play Marion Cobretti? Well, do I have to ask? Hey, look, I've been in a lot of movies. I can't remember every single thing I've done.
Rocky 5, this is Red 6. You're flying a little too slow. Can you speed up?
Absolutely. Let me see here.
It's a trap!
All right, so anyways, back at it.
Anyway, all right.
I was saying this might not be a samurai trope or a Western trope, but it might just be a Star Wars trope where I enjoyed the faceless baddies on the wall.
Totally.
It's like I kind of dug that it wasn't stormtroopers and it was kind of this weird like cloth hoodie kind of setup. I dug that a lot in the opening.
I like those costumes.
Yeah, they were sick.
I was always a fan of the various different cool masks and environmental units that the various creatures in the Star Wars universe would utilize,
Yeah.
And I always wondered, what was the function of those masks and, what did the creatures look underneath? Like that was always one of my fun favorite things about Star Wars when I was a kid. So it was super cool to see that. And
I like the helmets.
I was just going to say, what's that?
I like the helmets.
I think that I was going to say, before we move on to Ahsoka and Grogu and Mando in the forest, which is really probably the thing we should be talking about this episode, just the opening with Ahsoka, number one, having white lightsabers, which I thought was pretty cool and interesting. I'm sure everybody else did too. But also the way that she would like just Jedi around in the fog and, turn the sabers on and just lace a dude up and then turn him right back off and disappear. It was so ninja, so samurai, so cool. So many things. Like it was just such a great way to open that episode. And, just as a general note for this season, the action scenes were just excellent, excellent, excellent. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
I got some lore to drop on the white sabers.
Do it.
If you guys are interested.
Dude, do it. I was thinking just white kyber crystals, but school us, Jarhigo. What's up?
Sith use synthetic kyber crystals.
Nerdgasm.
What?
And they fill them with rage and hatred, and that's why they turn red. Okay. So initially Ahsoka had green lightsabers, and then I think she had blue ones, and then she kind of went into hiding after Order 66 and was working on making her own lightsabers. And she defeated not a Sith, but
Darth Cape Cod Mall?
The Cape Cod Mall. She defeated the Cape Cod Mall. No, let me... Oh, God. There were like these, It
was perfectly dropped in.
Sorry, Ben. I just spit coffee everywhere. Go ahead.
So was it not a full blown Sith? Was it just like a henchman or something, Benny?
There was a crew of I think the Emperor and Darth Vader kind of made like an elite crew of force sensitive people with lightsabers that went out to hunt down force sensitive kids and remaining Jedi, etc., etc. And the name of them is escaping me for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
But she defeated one of them and took the crystals from their lightsaber and purified them to make them white.
Wow.
With the Force.
That's sick.
Wow, that is super cool.
And is that lore Filoni related? Would that be his doing, probably?
Yes.
Yeah, sick. That's perfect, man. That's a great example of Filoni's talents with taking the mantle of the Star Wars universe. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. He clearly is the lore master.
Yeah, man. He's so thoroughly Lucas's protege in my mind. No doubt.
Yeah, he's great, and everything he's come up with is really just excellent. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me tack on that. It was the sixth brother that she defeated, and he was an Inquisitor. So
okay.
There was a group of Inquisitors that were out and about, hunting down Jedi, etc.
And is this Clone Wars?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Well, actually, this would be Rebels.
Oh, okay.
That's when she shows up with the white sabers.
Nice.
But anyway, if you get a chance to look up her lightsabers, they're really cool. They look like they're more shaped like katana hilts, and one of them is like full size, and the other one is like a wakizashi.
Okay. You can kind of catch a glimpse of it in this episode.
We'll make a show note.
That's super interesting. It's super obvious considering the samurai kind of source of a lot of the Star Wars stuff, but it's surprising that it's the first occasion where there's the two different size sabers. That's really clever. I like it.
It didn't start that way, but that's what it evolved to with her and her sabers. That was like the final sort of setup.
Well, I think that that's a natural progression, like with any kind of thing like that. You would, ultimately settle on what you utilized best / the most, one short saber, one long saber. It's kind of like Kylo has like the broadsword version of a lightsaber, and Darth Cape Cod Maul has the, the sort of the bow staff version.
Oh, I thought you were actually talking about Darth Cape Cod Maul, and I was like, he has like a food court saber. Like I couldn't picture it, but
oh yes, totally.
I don't know what a food court saber is.
It's a carousel shaped.
Yeah, exactly.
Saber.
I'm gonna just go out on a limb here, and it's like some kind of staff or spear with all kinds of food impaled on the spear,
like a shish kebab.
Whips the. Yeah, kind of like a shish kebab, but he like whips greasy pieces of Sbarro pizza at you, as like a sort of a little bonus move there while he's kicking your ass.
I think I would actually kill someone for a slice of Sbarro pizza right now.
The hot pizza just hits you cheese side out and burns you.
Yeah, exactly.
You have all these wedge-shaped burns all over you.
Shall we transition into the Ahsoka, Goku, Gogeta conversation?
I just wanted to add one thing while we're here on Ahsoka lore, and it might be worth adding. I don't remember if it's mentioned in this episode or not, but Ahsoka Tano was the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's worth mentioning for sure. I think that makes sense in relation to the chat about her not wanting to train Goku.
Yes, it does. And if they didn't mention it, then that brings a little bit of weight to that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? I'm not, that's flying over my head. What are you talking about?
Ben?
Well, in the episode, Ahsoka is reluctant to train Grogu.
Right.
Because of, I forget what the story she tells. Maybe you can.
Oh, she just says, what does she say specifically?
She says that it's about his attachment to the Mandalorian, and his fear is wrapped up in that attachment to the Mandalorian. And she said, I've seen what that does to fully trained Jedi. Oh, I got it now. It just clicked.
There you go. It's referencing her fallen master.
Anakin. Got it.
Because at this point, she has actually faced Vader.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she knows that it's Anakin. Then it's definitely something that really eats at her.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine so.
It's interesting. I like that it doesn't.
You used to be my Padawan, and now I'm going to kill you.
Aha!
Have you met my friend the Shrike? Aha!
It's interesting. I like that they didn't beat you over the head with it.
I'm looking for my son.
I like that they didn't beat you over
what
the
head.
head.
What were you saying, Chad?
Sand.
God damn,
it gets everywhere.
God damn it. I'm getting steamrolled here. I love it.
I love when that happens. Go ahead.
I'm getting a taste of my own fucking medicine for a change.
Yep. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to get us back on track. I like that they didn't beat us over the head with it, being like, fucking montaging back to all of the moments where she and Anakin were frolicking in the fucking forest together. It's It's there if a fan picks it up, and it doesn't need to be there if a fan doesn't pick it up. I think that's what I appreciated most about so much of the fan service in this is like it was there, but it's not going to beat you over the head.
No, they didn't beat us over the head with it.
If you want to see Ahsoka frolicking with Anakin, there's season after season of it on the Clone Wars. So,
yeah, exactly.
But other creators would definitely have made it plain, and I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, no, they didn't. But that's not the locus of the story. So it's great that they didn't do like a even digression in dialogue talking about that.
A bunch of exposition.
The focus. They kept the focus tight on Mando and the kid. And that's what I really liked. One of the things I really liked about this episode was how she quickly, he's like, "Well, here you go." Basically, he's like, "Here you go. I did it. I got the kid here. Okay, I'm gonna roll and go get a beer." And she's like, "Yeah, no, you can't do that, man. He's attached to you." And it was cool to see, just him learn the name of the child, and then the interaction between Mando and Grogu, during the course of the rest of the episode. It was just super cool with the knob from the lever in the Razor Crest to, just all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You can definitely see him kind of, introspectively kind of take on the protection of the child to like, DEFCON 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Only in that by the end of, what is it, episode 7? Or is it episode 7, he sends the message to Moff Gideon. He's basically like, an angry mom, and he's like, "This is my child. This is the most important thing in the world to me, and I am coming to." Yeah, Mando, the soccer mom, is like, "My child is the most important thing to me in the world. I am coming to pick him up at soccer, and if you do anything to harm him, I will destroy you with my whistling birds and flamethrower arm thing and my Beskar staff."
Mando's actually a Karen. I love that.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Mando the Karen.
Mando Karen's out.
Oh, man. There you go. Oh, man. Doe.
Oh, there's a death.
Jesus. That was fucking death. Jesus, man. I am like off point.
You're lining them up today, bro.
I'm lining them up. I'm teeing them up, and I'm knocking them out of the park.
The only other little the only other little moment on this one that I think is worth chiming in on is the reprise of the fighting where Ahsoka jumps the wall and fights on the parapet and then slices that gong in half was so fucking badass, dude. I loved that.
Agreed.
Yeah, one thing I will say about this episode is I didn't think about lightsabers or Jedi really at all through the whole thing. And once Ahsoka got on screen and started like slicing and dicing, I was like, God damn it, I missed that.
And the new variety, too. It's just like they're not wooden, old, shitty sword fights like in the original trilogy. It's like so dynamic, force pulling people and pushing this and slicing this, and it's just great.
And updated, to 2020. I agree with you, Chad. Really, and not lame either, obviously. Like the Sequel-ogy just dialed the fuck in.
Not over the top either.
Yeah, and not over the top. Like the locus was not all of a sudden shifted to the Jedis. Like I was glad that, it just very quickly went right back to Mando because that's really what I'm interested in. You know what I mean? Like I've seen the Jedis now and I've seen the lightsabers and it was great to see Ahsoka and all of that stuff. But it's like, I want to see the rest of the stuff about the Mando,
Yeah.
I mean, to take it a half step further, like I almost didn't care about the Jedi stuff. Like, I'm interested in the dynamic between Mando and the child and Mando's world and Mando's life. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good the show is. And we've already seen, like, purple lightsabers and Darth Cape Cod Maul and all of that stuff,
Well, it comes at it from actually the Mandalorian in this show's perspective, where he doesn't know shit about Jedis. So, like, Ahsoka comes in and she's cool and she's awesome and it's like an action set piece and it's well done and well balanced. But he's just kind of like, I need to find a Jedi. You're a Jedi. Help my fucking kid out. She's like, no. He's like, please. Okay, let's go fuck this town up. Like it like you said, it sticks to the main story and it's not super focused on Ahsoka.
Sticks to your ribs. Get you through the day.
Well, I'm not on that motorcycle with you, Kev. I was very excited to see it personally, and whatever. I'm an Ahsoka fanboy, anyways. So.
Oh no, dude, I'm with you, man. And I knew that the way I said that wasn't going to come out right, and it didn't, because that's not what I meant. I didn't mean it in the sense of like, oh, Jedis are so passe, I don't want to see that. Like, I was very happy to see it, but I was glad that the locus of the focus of the show didn't suddenly switch to Jedis, because everybody had like Jedi erections or Penic Jedi somethings, you know what I mean? Like I just like that it was great to see all that stuff and the white sabers and Rosario and all that, but it was like glad that it didn't stay there, you know what I mean? Because if they had chose to do that because Jedis are so cool and everybody loves them, it would have probably ruined the show.
Now I'm thinking of the Penic erection scene in Zardoz and how we need to edit in the ignition of a lightsaber when the erection scene happens.
Yes, that needs to happen for sure.
Yeah, it definitely gave me a call out to like the Schwartz thing in Spaceballs too.
Yes. Oh my God.
I don't have anything else on that episode other than maybe we like close it out with the sword fight on the bridge with the magistrate and then wrap it up into Boba.
I mean, we kind of talked about that already. The duality of the two fights
true.
at the end. I just wanted to add that I liked how she presented him with a spear of pure Beskar as a prize and then fought Ahsoka with it later. I did not know that dark sabers and the lightsabers could not cut through Beskar, which is very cool. So that makes it yet another layer of interesting to me. And the fight was very, very good in a very sort of Hong Kong action kind of way. I dug it. Wasn't quite as good as that, but it was damn close.
Definitely a call out to those types of duels in samurai movies.
Yeah, and I just the last thing I'll add is that I liked that it wasn't. I feel like in Star Wars often a Jedi comes in and it's just like bing bang boom, you're dead. I like that this fight was not just like a 1-stroke, 2-stroke, 3-stroke, and you're done. Like, she really gave Ahsoka a nice run for her money, even knocking one of her sabers away. So, yeah, it was really good. Episode 2, 6,
14,
whatever.
Just really quick, what did you guys think about the name Grogu?
Oh, Goku?
Great question.
I don't know. I don't really care. It's kind of funny. I just keep thinking about, like, all the various Dragon Ball Z people. In case you haven't noticed, I've been dropping them in there.
Yeah, no, I didn't notice that. That's funny. I loved it. I thought it was great. It's a great name. It's somewhat kind of seems like a name that would befit a Yodin life form. I dug it, man. It was good. I think it ticks all the boxes. Did you like it, Ben?
Yeah, it settled really easily for me. For a minute, I was like, oh, they're giving him a name? I don't know how I feel about that. And then I was like, oh, no, that works.
Yeah,
and I had no reaction about Dragon Ball Z because that's, I don't know, too young for me, I think.
The what?
Yeah, that was after my time.
Dragon Ball Z, I just never was interested in it at all.
Yeah, I felt similarly. Like, I think a lot of my gripes in this show, both seasons, are you could argue both sides of, like whether Mando should have taken his helmet off in season 1 at all, whether the child should have gotten a name at all, like you could argue both sides of it, and it's perfectly valid. So
sure.
I think at first I was like, it kind of sucks the kid's got a name, but at the same time, like, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, I just feel like they had to have like screen tested the fuck out of that name in order for it to like, sort of just settle that easily, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I loved the every time Mando said Grogu, he was like, the little sound he made. That was cute.
It was great.
And I'm totally going to put it every time any one of us says Grogu in this episode.
And it was great how Mando would get excited, that the kid would respond to him.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Episode 6 was directed by Robert Rodriguez, which I thought was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
because Rodriguez has done just some, excellent films. He is, if there is an outlaw filmmaker like equivalent, like a a Western outlet. It's Rodriguez. Like, he is that guy, man. You know, I think what's his studio's name? It's Troublemaker Studios.
Yeah.
You know, and he has done just some incredible films, Machete and then Spy Kids, you know, and then you got like Death Proof and, you know, all that stuff. Dusk Till Dawn. He's great. Really, really great.
I have nothing against Rodriguez, but I definitely had some pretty serious issues with some of the cinematography choices in this one, which we can get to a little bit later on. But
what is your problem?
oh, maybe it'd be worth actually saying. Like, I had some pretty serious issues with the cinematography in this, specifically surrounding the like Stormtrooper fight. It the way that they chose, or like the color palette that they chose, or the fact that it was shot outside versus on a set. I have no idea what caused it, but it looked like a fan film as opposed to fitting the tone of the shooting of the other episodes of this, and it pulled me out of the it pulled me out of the episode. It's definitely a bit of gripes of Kev territory, because like
a little bit.
The episode was solid, and like, you know, the Boba Fett shit was amazing, but like it definitely kind of threw me for a bit of a loop. I'm curious if you guys picked up on it at all.
I'll respond first by saying that I understand exactly what you're saying, because I have felt that way as well. I felt that way in The Void, and you guys didn't catch the same vibe at all. So I understand what you're saying. I did not have that feeling, but I get where you're coming from completely. That's it. What do you think, Betty?
I think you're having a Grapes of Kev moment. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, cool.
Honestly, it didn't occur to me when I was watching it. Like, nothing stuck out to me as, you know, looking like a fan film.
Yeah, it was something weird about the lighting.
I was too busy enjoying watching Boba Fett smash fucking Stormtrooper helmets with his Tusken Raider fucking club.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And it was great to see not only Boba Fett in action, but to see exactly what those fucking clubs do to people.
Yeah, the Gaffi stick. That's what that's called, Ben.
Is that what it is? It's a Gaffi stick. You're right.
Yeah, that was sick. No, I can confirm that.
Just to confirm, you are confirming that is what it's called?
Yes, I've got it written down.
Got it.
That early scene where Slave 1 flies in, dude, I got fucking spider tingles. Like, I was Peter Tingles. I was so fucking pumped. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, this episode is just the words are escaping me. It's to see him come back is just, it was so out of left field. We mentioned it in the season 2 part 1, but for him to come back out of just seemingly nowhere, I mean, it all threads together perfectly too. I mean, that's the beauty of it. But you just never thought of it because you assumed he died in the Sarlacc pit at the end of Return of the Jedi. So to see that ship fly in, because not only is he cool, the ship was sick. I had that ship when I was a kid, and it was sick.
It was the perfect way to handle the lore. I love that Favs and Filoni are repairing some of the missteps in the history of Star Wars, you know, like, so many fans were so pissed that Fett just got killed off, and I love this. This is such a well-handled and tasteful comeback.
I know. I love that you can see the scars all over his head from probably being slurped on by a Sarlacc monster for a couple of years.
What was your reaction, Benny, to Fett coming back in this one?
Or whatever, man. Yeah. What about you, Ben?
It's great. It's really, you know, it what can I say? It's good. I too also had the Slave 1 ship, and I had the like special mail-in Boba Fett action figure and the normal Boba Fett action figure and the large, I don't know, I guess it was like maybe like a 12-inch action figure of Boba Fett where you had like you could like look through his eye at the viewfinder thing.
Same here, dude. Yes. I
was a huge Boba Fett fan when I was a kid.
Same.
I got over it and kind of forgot about it, but I was definitely upset in Return of the Jedi when he fell into the Sarlacc pit and it burped, and they just kind of made him into an afterthought.
I thought it was very afterthought in Return of the Jedi how Han, who was basically blind, just turned around, hit him with the staff, and like it was like that was it. It was over in 2 seconds. Like that was a bummer. That was a bummer for sure, dude. Kind of a missed opportunity, waste of a great character, you know.
Yeah, it goes without saying that Fett is legendary in the Star Wars fan universe, and to see him in action here and just like absolutely fucking shit up was just so enjoyable. Just so enjoyable.
I agree. The use of the Gaffi stick, like he just absolutely smashed the shit out of those stormtroopers
Dude,
with that
yeah.
staff.
No
I
doubt.
loved it. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he sees the armor in the ship. So we get the full-on lore that connects all of these threads together that people have been wondering about for years, right? We know that, he was a clone. That was the one that Jango kept. But I didn't know that Jango was a foundling. Of course, it makes perfect sense now. And then the fact that he passed the armor down to Boba Fett. So, it legitimizes him as a relative offspring of a Mandalorian foundling. It's kind of interesting, too, that Jango really kind of created his own foundling in Boba Fett, in a sense, by keeping one clone unaltered, unfettered to himself.
I'll give you that one.
You will give it to me because that was so terribly awesome. So I think that that's really cool. And just seeing like the whole, like how he showed him the chain code with the armor and all of that, like, it was, I just dug it. It was just well laid out, the whole thing. It was like everybody came guns blazing, but there's not always a fight in this show, which I like, like he's like, let's not have any more bloodshed. Let's just sit and talk about this for a second. Everybody's like, all right, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do that. And it's like, I just like how they wrote that and wrote those kind of situations into this show in general, and to see Fennec again was super cool,
Yeah.
Tamara Morrison was amazing.
Crushed it, dude.
That's great to see him back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the part where he was literally, the crushing actually occurred was when he saw the armor in the Razor Crest, and then he disappears, and then he just lands in the middle of all those stormtroopers. And it's like, you can tell that he is so stoked to have his fucking armor back. And he just starts fucking everybody up. And it's awesome, man.
He goes through the whole repertoire of all of his weapons. He shoots out the knee rockets. It's just like, oh my God.
I know. Oh, man. And he has different gadgets on his wrist. And like, just, wow. Awesome. And then just, cherry on top is, there's a ship flying away. Hang on, I got it. Like that was just brilliant, man.
And the comedy of him aiming for the other one was quite funny.
Yeah, they establish him as a total badass. It's the action you never got to see Boba Fett engage in, and they just keep it ramped up for him through the rest of the season. Like he's just so powerful.
Yeah, and just to add to that I think the best part of everything you just said, Ben, was that all of that was present, and then they added more layers to it, which made him even cooler. So, up until now, we didn't really know much about him, and, I kind of thought he was just kind of like a mean, scuzzy kind of bounty hunter. But it's like, we come to find out that he's not just that. Like, he's a honorable person, and his commitment to help Mando get the child back is just so cool, man. He's not just like, I want my armor back and I'm a dick and see you. You know what I mean? Like there's way more depth to him. And I love that they did that with this beloved character. And they did it so damn right, dude, that it just makes it even more awesome. I'm freaking out.
He's got a little bit of a like Yakuza vibe for me. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say his honorable nature is because he's got, white fucking lightsaber pure crystals, like he's definitely got a bit of a dark streak to him, but it's like that
Sure.
It's got that Yakuza honor where like even amongst criminals there's a code, and I really appreciated that for sure.
Definitely, dude. I think it's a little bit more than that, but I see what you're saying.
Well, it is and it isn't. Like, I kind of feel like, it's kind of riffing on what you're saying, where like, the chain code stuff and all of the like history stuff is one thing, and then it's like a hard knock fucking life. He's a survivor, and like this is where he's ended up, and he has to kick ass and take names more often than he makes peace and has parlays, but there's room for both. And yeah, I
Fair
agree
enough.
it levels up the character, but I suppose it wouldn't be possible without a bit of a fleshing out of the bounty hunter guild and Mando being a bounty hunter as well. Like, it just is in another layer still of the bounty hunter universe in Star Wars. So
Agree. Well said.
The we'll get to it, but the post-credit scene at the end of the last episode sort of makes me inclined to agree with you, Chad, about the sort of Yakuza vibe.
That's kind of where I kind of got it from. Yeah, I think without that scene, I might not have reached the same kind of conclusion. It's relatively obvious with that, but yeah, I agree.
I won't comment on that until we get to that at the very end. Last thing I wanted to say was I just liked the whole Mountaintop Oracle setup and what happened when they put Grogu on the stone. I thought that was super cool, seeing that level of sort of force energy coming out of that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That's it.
It's kind of the first really major force visible kind of stuff in the universe, really.
I think so.
Outside of the animated series.
All right, well, that's all I got for that one. Do we want to shift gears?
I was kind of devastated about the Razor Crest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I love that ship.
Evidently, Mando loses his really powerful rifle in that explosion, too.
He did?
Oh, shit. Did he?
The holiday special rifle? Yeah, I think so. I saw it in like a trivia section, so unconfirmed, but I think that's the case.
No, and it's a kind of an interesting segue to the next episode, but doesn't Bill Burr use it to...
No, I rewatched that one yesterday. I think it's a different rifle, I think. So let's just call it unconfirmed, but I think that might be the case.
Unconfirmed.
It's too bad that rifle was super cool.
Yeah, and pulled out of the holiday special, evidently.
Yeah. Staff, rifle, cattle prod, all wrapped into one.
Chapter 15, Bill Burr is back. I like Bill Burr. I'm glad he was back. That's it.
Well, I mean, that role was basically written for him, and Jon Favreau approached him about it, like made it for him, and then asked him if he wanted to do it.
His character in this was perfect just tonally, because so often in these types of settings, it's like Han Solo-esque, chiseled fucking Poe Dameron hero figure, and it's just like ratty, bald Bill Burr comedian, kind of douchey. It's just,
yes.
I really liked it. I really liked his character a lot. And to kind of riff on what you were saying a minute ago about Boba Fett getting really fleshed out in a new way here, like, his character was really fleshed out in a new way with the whole ex-Imperial thing here. Like, it could have just been another cameo of Bill Burr, but I really like that they kind of went the way they did with it.
I agree with that. No, it's well suited, and I mean, the other thing too is comedic actors and comedians. They tend to have an easier time jumping in and doing drama stuff, whereas it's not the same when you reverse it. Like, dramatic actors have a difficult time with comedy, so I'm not surprised at all that he's picked to do it, able to do it, capable of doing it.
Yeah,
I thought he was really good, man.
He was also in Breaking Bad. That's where I also remembered him from Breaking Bad. He was one of the con men in Breaking Bad. He was great in that too. He's just excellent. He's an excellent, when you throw him into a dramatic role or a character or whatever, he's great, and he's funny as hell too. And he's from freaking Mass, guy.
he's definitely from Mass.
He's from Canton. All right, so let's continue to extol the virtues of Bill Burr, because on a completely different note, this episode, while being about a lot of things, I think that Mayfield's character really shines, and Bill Burr totally knocks it out of the park in this episode. From the second they get out of the transport truck at the base, through that whole sequence is just so good and so
awesome.
well done, all the way up to when Cara Dune says, it's a shame that Mayfield got killed in this operation. Like, he played it so great, and it's just a testament to him as a creative person, if you don't want to call him an actor. But I've seen him that's why I brought up Breaking Bad. Like, he was fantastic in Breaking Bad. No surprise at all to see that, and you could really feel what he was saying. I'll drop probably one of the only nuggets I have. The Imperial officer that he shoots, that he's grilling at the table, is the guy that played Joe Chill, the killer of Thomas and Martha Wayne from Batman Begins.
Oh.
And that guy was excellent and super slimy, man.
I thought that was a snipe, but it wasn't. I've got another Nuggets attack onto that one.
Oh, no. Oh, that's not a snipe? No. It wasn't. I didn't think it would be.
He played the Night King in Game of Thrones as well.
Oh, well, there you go. Nice. Yeah, Joe Chill.
Richard Brake is the actor's name.
What's his name again? Sorry.
Richard Brake.
Yeah, there you go. I really liked just the whole thing with Mando taking the helmet off and accessing the controls, the console, and the way Mayfeld was to him during that. I mean, it was ironic as well because he was giving him so much shit about the Stormtrooper outfit in the transport vehicle, you know. And then it was great. It was really, really great. I'm done. I've spoken.
I got a couple of things here, and one is I can see why they made this role for Bill Burr when he confronts Richard Brake's character about, you know, everything that went down during that one particular, you know, it's like he's sort of exercising his PTSD on him, like, and that like righteous sort of anger that only Bill Burr can portray just came off really good, and it was really well done.
The breaking point was so plausible.
Totally. The other thing, breaking away from Bill Burr for a moment here, is Kev, did you note for one, the whole transport scene and Mando fighting off the pirates, like there's some great action there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yes.
Really good stuff. Did you happen to notice one particular throw that Mando does during that exchange, Kev?
I did not notice it as much. I did and I didn't. Yes, I saw it, but I just filed it because there was so much going on in that scene, you know, and it was like you were kind of sitting there going, I can't wait to see what happens next. And I did the same thing when I rewatched it this morning. So kind of yes. Go ahead.
Kind of yes. Yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember doing it a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it was,
know what you're talking about now.
I believe it was like an Agoshi hip throw, I think, when he threw the guy.
Yeah, he like pulled his arm like across his chest and sort of, flipped him off of his hip. I don't know if it was an Agoshi, but it was one of those.
Oh, no, that would.
You know who could settle this and tell us exactly what it was?
Well, I know who should be able to. It should be me.
Steven Seagal.
Hold on a minute. If you guys got a donut over there, I think I could probably help you out with this.
I could break this tie up over here. Let me just take another bite of my... Oh, yeah. It was an Agoshi.
This is delicious. What is this, a crawler?
Kev's ejected from the joke.
Okay, so... Hold on a second here. I got to get this crumb off my chin. That was a Gokyo Nage.
That's what it was. And I want to let everybody know that I trained everybody in the UFC, by the way.
Yeah, I did. I was like, I thought you were talking about like fucking thermal detonator throws, and then I was like, was there a fucking spear or some shit? And Aikido, gotcha.
I agree. The thermal detonators, like throwing them, there was so many great little close calls right there, you know, and then the irony of having the TIE fighters and the entirety of the base come out to help them.
That was so like, awesome.
Just too great, man.
Yeah, and they're all like cheering him on.
Yeah. Yeah, the celebration post-fight was such an interesting and ironic call out to like the rebels doing the same thing. It was I really like that.
No doubt. And I gotta say, this is a big sort of personal thing of mine. Like, I always loved seeing the various different configurations of Stormtrooper armor ever since Empire Strikes Back, when we first got a glimpse with the Snowtroopers.
The Snowtroopers.
Yeah.
You know, they were so cool and different. I was like, well, wait a second. Are those like Stormtroopers? Like, what's the deal? You know, like, and then, so now, ever since then, I've always just loved seeing the various, like, everybody wears armor and it's all different and it's all sort of like purposely built for whatever their particular duty or task is, you know. So you got the scout troopers, and then you got the pilots, and then you got the AT-AT drivers, and those are different, and then you got the snow troopers, and so forth and so on. And we just get to see more of that in this show, which I absolutely just love.
Those Shoretrooper costumes are really cool.
The which ones?
Which ones are those?
You would have remembered them from the sort of like the khaki, you know. Like, you would have recognized them from Rogue One for sure.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they were like the light tannish colored ones, yeah? In this episode?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that they were also in Rogue One, but yeah, they were really cool. Just a super quick circle back to the fighting on the back of the carrier thing. Evidently, that explosive-laden carrier is a call-out to an old movie from the 50s called The Wages of Fear, which I've never heard of, but it definitely gave me like a Indiana Jones kind of vibe.
No doubt.
It was a super cool fight. And like you said, the TIE fighters coming in and saving the day at the end was just like, it was just like the frickin' kiss your fingers Italian gesture, the mwah. It was just great.
And then it kind of gave them more kind of latitude to just waltz right into the.
Yeah, they were now heroes. They didn't have to break into the base. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's gonna fuck with them, or mess with them rather.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. And again, that whole exchange between Joe Chill and Bill Burr, or I guess I should say Moff Chill,
Grand Moff Chill.
Grand Moff Chill. That was so good, and the way the whole thing about Mando's helmet was handled was good. And that's a segue into talking about, we can spend whatever amount of time on it. I like how he starts to question the validity of hiding his face throughout the course of this season.
Yeah.
Like he meets Bo-Katan and them, and they're just like, yeah, I'm taking my helmet off and having a beer, and then the whole exchange with Mayfeld and all of that. And then, he straight up takes the thing off at the end when he's with de-aged Hamill himself.
When he's hanging out with Gohan. Yeah.
And Gohan, yeah. So I thought that was a great extra, bit put in there.
What do you guys think about? Oh, sorry, Benny, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like how Mayfeld was just like, yeah, I didn't see that. Like, it didn't happen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I love that.
And everyone else in the room was killed,
that,
so he's the only one that actually did see it.
Yeah, despite the fact that he was making fun of him for it at the beginning, like he thought that was great.
Well, we understand too why he became a criminal. Like that was the best part of that scene. I mean, one of the best parts of that scene was that we understand in just a couple of minutes, really like so much depth about Mayfeld and his character, man. You know what I mean? Like we find out that it was like he was sick of killing like women and children and innocent people, and it was wrong. So it gave him a moral compass, and that's why he became a criminal. And it was like, it totally validated and legitimized him on all these different levels as a being and a character, man. And I thought that was fantastic.
And he doesn't go broadcasting it, like Cara Dune and he have a lot of problems, but he's not like, no, I actually don't like the Empire. Fuck you. He's like, it's his own personal demons he's trying to conquer. He doesn't broadcast it to everybody that'll have, listen to his griping or whatever, which I appreciate.
Right.
Well said, Chad. Yes.
Very briefly, before we talk about the helmet stuff, I wanted to call out to the TPS reports. I imagine you guys picked up on that when he's trying to, he's trying to bullshit his way past Moff, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Moff
Chill. That was really funny. I cracked up at that. Like, it's not often you get a fucking Office Space reference in a goddamn show like of this caliber. It was fucking hilarious.
Brilliant. It was brilliant, man. It was great. Because everybody's been, the thing about it is that everybody, I think in nerd culture and geek culture, like the spaces we live in, it's like everybody's constantly making references to Office Space. I mean, it's a legendary film at this point. You know what I mean? So to see these nerds take it and put it into this incredible, property that they've revived and worked on is just excellent.
Yeah, no doubt. On the helmet thing, what did you guys think of the helmet thing? You raised a good point, Kev. I'm curious if, maybe just start there. What did you guys think about him taking his helmet off in this particular episode?
I'm thinking too, yeah.
That whole scene is like really tense. It's clear that he doesn't want to do it, but his priority is to find the kid, so that's what he does. And the fact that he's just kind of like stuck there with it off for that long, like it's like you can, Pedro Pascal does such a great job of broadcasting this sort of, discomfort and feeling awkward, and like the whole thing was done really well.
His skin's crawling the whole time.
Yeah,
very obviously. Yes,
you can feel that he feels the eyes on him.
Yeah.
I mean, to answer your question directly, it didn't bother me. I loved that. Let me put it like this. I loved that it was part of the creed of this particular sect of Mandalorians. Okay. But I liked that he has the creed and the code and all of that sort of thing. But I like how this character has evolved. And that is what makes this show so good. So as events have happened during the course of it, he has evolved with them.
Yeah.
And that is really the most important thing here. So like Ben pointed out, he really got a moral compass when he decided to take the child and keep it from harm in the 3rd episode or whatever that was. And making the priority the child with the helmet situation here was great writing, and it was another great move, And then having that bolstered by meeting Bo-Katan, and I can't remember the other Mandalorian's name, and really, I guess, kind of Boba Fett too, and seeing everybody's like, he's like, oh, everybody else is kind of taking their helmets off all the time. Maybe I ought to start doing it too. I mean, what the hell, right?
Yeah, fair enough. in the first season, I spoke about how unhappy I was with him taking his helmet off in the last episode with IG-11, it was, I think.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like this bolsters that for me, where like I kind of feel like if this episode was the first time he revealed his helmet, I think I would have preferred that. But you could also go a step further, and I'll ask the question later about whether him taking his helmet off for Goku would have been the best use of the first reveal. And just kind of, it's an interesting kind of, I don't know, thought exercise, which we can get to later. But I think this was great. I really liked that it was like a necessity to get the things done, and the awesome badass Thor-esque Mandalorian in this first season telling him that Goku was a foundling, like, really cemented his bond with Grogu. So,
you mean the armorer?
Yeah, the armorer. She was amazing, and like you mentioned, episode 3, he kind of takes Grogu under his wing, but then like later on she further cements it by like stating that he's a foundling and all that kind of stuff. So
right. If I had one gripe about this entire season, it would be that we don't get to see the armor.
Yeah, maybe soon enough. You never know. I think it's pure speculation, but it would be surprising if they didn't bring back the radical sect back into,
oh my God,
the tension with the non-radical Mandalorians. I think that would be a really interesting thing to play around with. But it's a bit of speculation.
I definitely hear, just to respond to what you said, Chad, I hear your feelings about the helmet. I thought that the IG scene they all are like perfect scenes where it could have been the first reveal, and any one of them would have worked as a great first helmet off scene. I loved the IG scene. I thought it was great. The dialogue was great. It was so well executed, man. And these were too. I mean, they were all. If you think about it, every single time he took the helmet off, it was all related to putting the child before himself, and I think that's important. The child needed to see his face at the end. Finally,
yeah, that was amazing,
and he needed to take the Stormtrooper helmet off because it was that or the child dies, Ditto with the IG part. So I have spoken.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't have any problem with any time he's taking the helmet off. I think it's always been appropriate. And
yeah,
I also think of it like from the perspective of, I think, Pedro Pascal is so good in this role, and I think he deserves to have his face be seen, a few times to remind us that he's the one under the helmet doing the work, for the acting parts anyways, not necessarily for the stunts. But, I think it's kind of important that he is seen occasionally.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that he's allowed to, act with his face as well. Anyways.
No, I agree.
I agree. Well said, Ben.
The pedant in me doesn't agree because, like, Chewbacca doesn't take his fucking mask off. But, like, I know exactly what you mean, and I agree that it's great that he's getting some screen time where he's going to be known. You know, like, it's a huge role for him. So I agree on that front for sure. Like, I guess specifically what I'm saying is, like, they shouldn't tailor the story to show his face so that he could become a movie star. But I like that he's getting a chance to, you know, have FaceTime on the screen. And I agree with you also that the 3 reveals were reasonable enough. So
I don't think they're tailoring it to.
No, I know. I think you know what I mean, though. Like,
yeah,
it's a slight separation from, you know, the story versus the opportunity for him to get FaceTime. But I think both were done tastefully. You know,
You say potato, I say potato.
there you go. All right, I got one more little thing on this episode to close it out. In the vein of Benny dropping some white saber lore earlier, I saw a mention of Mayfield's Operation Cinder. So he mentions that as the event that kind of, you know, went to shit and Moff Chill fucked things up and killed thousands of people. It turns out it's like an event that was in a Star Wars comic, Empire Shattered, and then adapted into the Battlefront 2 game, which is kind of interesting that there's some there's more info there, which is interesting. And it's like a Palpatine order where Operation Cinder was carried out to devastate planets occupied by the Empire. So it's like a bit of a slash and burn after they lost in the 3rd film of the original trilogy. So I thought it was kind of interesting that it was more depth of lore than just like a randomly interesting name dropped by a Filoni, which makes sense considering how lore heavy he is, but it was just kind of cool that there was some connective tissue there.
Cool.
I like it. Yeah, very, very cool. You know,
Kind of makes me want to check out the comics now. Final episode?
Final episode. I like the whole "I'm coming for you, Murdoch" thing at the end of the 3rd episode. That was great, setting it up. And I was glad that we got to see a lot more screen time for Esposito in this one. I think that I know this happened at the end of the last episode, but when Grogu was tossing those stormtroopers around at the end, it was just freaking great.
It was cool.
And funny too, man. I think that, you know, it's just like it's kind of an extraction culmination episode, you know? It was like lots of great action, you know? This whole season, this whole show, like the action sequences just keep getting better and better. And this episode was no different, man. It was excellent.
I love that Bo-Katan says, like, I've heard that voice 1,000 times before, and it's because she lived through the Clone Wars, and every clone was, you know,
That guy.
Was that guy. So I liked that they tied things together with that one little line, like really brought some depth to things that I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and in a very similar space, like they found some really interesting ways to tie in the prequel trilogy that like really help buoy the prequel trilogy even further, you know. Coming off of Kev's comment about how the Sequel-ogy now makes him like the prequel trilogy even more. I feel like the threads that are going from this to it are even more of that.
You mean more from this to the prequel trilogy?
Yeah. The threads from Mando to the prequel trilogy are now elevating the prequel trilogy even further.
I agree, totally. I love the lore with Django and him and the whole thing. It's just so cool.
So this one definitely was a bit more of a straight, I don't know, maybe not heist episode, but like it was a lot more linear. It was a lot more linear in terms of like opening scene we talked about in the cantina somewhere with a bunch of Mandalorians beating the shit out of each other, and then it's like the rest of it's on the ship basically. The stealing of the shuttle was quite cool.
Yeah, I liked. I believe the actor's name was Luke Baines. I like his little like, you know, he's monologuing while he's got Dr. Pershing at gunpoint, kind of giving like the Imperial perspective on things, and you know, like I thought that was. I thought it was cool to like. It could have just been a throwaway thing, but I thought it was cool that they put that there. You know.
Yeah,
I agree. Added some more depth to it for sure.
I'm curious on that one. I think that it was a call out to Clerks personally.
Definitely.
Yeah. where Dante and the other dude are talking about like all the families on the Death Star and stuff, and I really dug that call out.
I don't know if that debate got its like start in Clerks, or if it. I think likely it got started before, but it's really a call out to that debate.
Yeah,
like trying to look at it from the opposite perspective.
Yeah. And in a way, that hangar scene in the last episode with Bill Burr kind of primes the pump for you to think about it from the Empire's perspective. I liked it a lot.
It does, yeah. Challenges your assumptions a little bit.
Yeah, and they touched on that in the Sequel-ogy with the whole like fucking weapons dealers selling weapons to both sides things. But since the sequel trilogy doesn't exist in my universe, we can just leave that one.
Yeah, you didn't say that.
Yeah. I'm dead.
You
I'm
did
gonna
not say that.
that needs to be marked down as a Star Wars death because I'm talking about Star Wars that doesn't exist.
Done.
There's a lot to talk about here, and I don't know how to. It's like a burger that I don't know where to start biting into.
Yeah, I didn't watch this one twice. I watched all the other ones twice. I just ran out of time. I feel like
Same.
not a legit play-by-play, but I kind of feel like being somewhat sequential might make sense. You've got that shuttle heist we just talked about, and then there's that really interesting kind of way to get on the ship through that hangar bay thing, which was cool. And Esposito being super calm and collected throughout. I really enjoyed how calm his character was during that whole thing.
Yes.
Mando's encounter and subsequent battle with the Death Trooper was pretty intense.
That was interesting. What did you guys think of those troopers, man? I kind of wasn't super stoked that they were droids.
I wasn't either, man. I didn't really dig it. I was like, eh. Or at the very least, I did not like the way they looked. They looked like 8-bit kind of something that we would have seen in Robot Jocks, or Ice Pirates, or
Dude, totally Ice Pirates.
Ben's favorite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, blood.
Yeah. Apparently, all that's like straight out of canon, though. Straight out of comics.
Okay.
Even the look of it is very similar from what I saw. So
I like the
Not that it's
the
something
hinting at like force sensitive troopers. That's kind of where I thought they were going to maybe go with the whole Grogu blood thing, but whatever. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. I'm kind of over the fucking droid army stuff.
I am most definitely over the droids.
And maybe your comment, Benny, raises a point that we don't need to cul-de-sac out hard on, but like I'm kind of okay with breaking from canon where necessary. So I appreciate that they were thorough and wanted to call out to something specific in the design of these droids, but I also would have been okay if they made something new up, I don't know.
I'm going to break with both of you on this.
What?
I think this is the first time we've seen droids be, like battle droids be kind of menacing and actually seem like, scary and like they might be badass. It's not the stupid fucking dog-eared, Roger, droids from the prequels. It's like, I get what you're saying, having a fatigue of like, battle droids sort of a thing, but these are a different animal.
Yeah,
and,
that's fair.
I like that they're like, we're like, there's a scene where like they're all marching in lockstep. And it's like the first group almost looks like they're going to walk past the door and then their heads turn and their bodies follow.
Yeah.
And then like each group follows them, it's like this very like old school kind of how a robot would behave and walk. And, I thought about Peter Weller's RoboCop.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep, definitely.
And the way he played that, like it reminded me of that. And, is it the most interesting thing in the world? No. But as a plot device, I think it worked. And I thought it was a better use of droids than I've seen in any of the previous iterations outside of like IG-11.
That was really well said. And you're right. And you just schooled us, and I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm
I
down.
think that I'll add to that by saying that you're right. It's the Roger bullshit that I'm so fatigued with because they're not menacing enough. So you kind of hit it all in one fell swoop. Like that's why I don't like them. Even the super battle droids, like they're not menacing enough. Even the droidicas, like.
Yeah.
Kind of weak, a little bit of weak sauce there in terms of how they were portrayed. especially the Roger Rogers. Like I'm actually getting really angry thinking about that right now. That's how upsetting it is.
All right, put it out of your head.
Yeah, that was pure merchandising ploy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, Chad, and I think that was part of it too. It was like, let's make it like fun, and like it's like no, and this is way better. You're right.
Yeah.
These are menacing because when he was pounding Mando's head into the wall, basically, I was like, Jesus, man, his helmet's gonna crack, or the wall's gonna break, or worse. I don't know. Like it was definitely emotion inducing. So. You're right. I mean, yeah, they did look a little 8-bit and all that stuff, but yeah, I see what you're saying. You're absolutely right about that.
I didn't pick up on the RoboCop things until you just mentioned it. I definitely was more in the Terminator headspace, but same. In terms of the broader context, I definitely agree that like 1, them being menacing was really important. 2, Kev, you mentioning the fight with Mando being pretty intense was really important. And then 3, Luke showing up and absolutely fucking annihilating an entire platoon was really interesting because it just shows how powerful a proper Jedi can be versus how awesome Mando is. Like, this is the first time Mando's really had a hard time ever since, the show began, really.
Ever. Agreed.
So it it's an important plot device, like you mentioned, Benny. But, I don't know. Like, I suppose, like I mentioned earlier, any gripes I have, you can argue both sides of, and this is probably another good example of it, because there's probably a bunch of Force-sensitive human troopers would have not been in balance with any of this. So
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't like, yay, robot, yay, battle droids, but, considering what it was, it turned out.
It's defensible.
They did.
What, Force sensitive? Like, what does that end up equating to? I mean, really, when you think about it, it's Counselor Troy, basically, is what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Sure. And I guess the Grogu blood hasn't really been expanded yet. I thought that the Dark Troopers were going to be directly related to the Grogu blood stuff, and that doesn't seem to be the case. So maybe I was just kind of jumping the gun.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, if you had Force-sensitive troopers, like, what would they be walking around going, Captain, I'm sensing something?
Uh-oh, I lost you.
No, crickets? Wow, that was terrible.
Void which binds, death, bro. It cut out. What did you say?
The void which binds.
Are you serious?
Yeah, deadly serious.
Is that what happened? Oh, I was like, God, how did this not land?
What did you say?
What I said was Force-sensitive troopers. I mean, really? Like, what would you really be able to do except walk around like Counselor Troy and go, Captain, I'm sensing something.
Void which binds death. Oh, that's funny. You're getting Darth Mauled in this one, Kev.
I'm getting Darth Cape Cod mauled in this one, bro.
Force sensitive in Star Wars, that what it usually means is somebody who's gifted with the Force who hasn't been trained properly. So it doesn't mean that they're sensing the Force more than you know what I mean. It means they have the potential to use the Force, they just don't know how to properly, or they use it intuitively as opposed to being trained with it or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the duel and the Darksaber and the whole thing with Bo-Katan. What did you guys think about that?
I like that Gideon seemed to have intentionally set up Mando to have that happen. That was cool.
You think that that's what happened?
Definitely.
I think that he tried to kill Mando, and then when he failed and the Darksaber was knocked out of his hand, he immediately was like, saw the opportunity to twist the knife. Even disarmed, he could kind of fuck up the situation for Mando.
Yeah, wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I get the impression that Moff Gideon is one of those like chess moves ahead kind of characters. Like,
yeah, he's definitely doing that for sure. I thought that it was an interesting twist, with the whole like, no, you have to defeat the person in combat to get the saber. And Mando is like, I really just don't care.
Yeah,
it's interesting that doesn't get resolved here.
It's a great cliffhanger,
and that too. So, yeah, another good addition. I don't know. At first I was kind of like, all right, just take the saber. Like, I don't really want to get into like a whole thing here. This is me watching it, right? But then I was like, all right, I guess I can get down with that. See the value in it.
Does this mean that, much like at the end of Conan or at the end of Chronicles of Riddick, that now Mando is the reluctant
king?
King of Mandalore or ruler of Mandalore?
Keep what you kill, man. Yeah.
His first order is everybody leave their helmet on.
Yeah, it definitely, he is currently the heir to the throne now. He has a claim on the throne, which is pretty awesome. Like the reluctant leader kind of thing.
But I dig that I dig that he just doesn't care though, and he really just he doesn't want to fight Bo-Katan. He wants to you know what I mean? He wants to just give her the sword and just be like, I'm out of here, man. I got things to do.
But I think, unlike a Riddick, he's not going to take the throne, in my opinion. I think it's highly unlikely that he would take that mantle on.
No way. I agree with you.
I started getting a little frustrated towards the end of this episode before the X-Wing swoops in. I don't recall exactly where my head was at, but I was just kind of like, this is all over the fucking place. And was getting a little... I remember thinking, this isn't as good as last season's finale. And, this is good, and it's still a great season, but, eh. And then the X-Wing came in, and, I burst into fucking tears, and it was great. But,
oh, my God, dude. Jesus Christ, man.
But I don't know. For a while there, I wasn't stoked about it. I'm just kind of curious if you had any sort of similarity there.
No.
I didn't watch this until yesterday, and Mark Hamill spoiled it for me.
Oh, no.
So
Oh no, that sucks.
How so? What, did he tweet you or something? What happened?
He put out a couple of tweets that were
Seen anything good on TV or something?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, nothing completely obvious, but enough where I know Mark Hamill and he can't keep his fucking mouth shut. So
that sucks, man.
I was like, We knew somebody was coming for Grogu, right? And we knew that could only be so many people. So for me, I already was kind of maybe it's probably going to be Luke, or maybe it's going to be somebody from the Clone Wars. I don't know. So as soon as he was seen anything good on TV lately? I was like, oh, it's fucking Luke Skywalker. It's definitely Luke Skywalker. But he didn't say until after the episode came out in his defense. It's just that I didn't see it until later, and I saw his tweet first.
No, that's a good point, because I was even just checking out the Everybody Dies Instagram, there was tons of spoilers in people's stories and stuff, so I'm glad I saw the episode first.
Me too. I didn't see any of that, and I watched the episode Friday, when everybody went to bed. I was like, can't resist. So I watched it, and I don't know, segueing into that whole scene, I don't know, man. I kind of am split. There's part of me that's awesome, Skywalker, makes sense logically, chronologically, all that. And then the other part of it was kind of really? And then the third part was the age thing. I was like, really?
So when you said, oh my God, dude, earlier to what I said, what were you referencing?
I was just referencing the insanity that goes on inside your head sometimes that I don't understand.
I think I might have said patience, grasshopper.
Fair enough.
No, I was just you just make me laugh when we're watching a show like this and it's so great. And you're like, this is when I started hating the show. I'm like, why, dude?
But I think that the Luke thing, you could argue that the Luke thing covers up. It's such an ultimate form of fan service that I particularly appreciated, that it would gloss over any other bumps in the road, I guess. And I was feeling a couple of bumps. I was like, man, I don't know about this finale, but it's pretty good. And then the fan service, I had such an emotional reaction to Luke that I was just like, all right, whatever, this is fucking great. And I feel there's a relatively universal, it's got a 9.9, highest rating ever on IMDb. Fans are freaking out and gushing about it, whatever. But it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting that it's, it would gloss over issues if there were any, you know what I mean? So,
well, to be perfectly sanguine with Boba Fett throughout this season and then be pissed off about Luke, I don't think makes any sense.
I agree. I'm not at all pissed about Luke, but
I think no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for argument's sake that like I don't think that makes any sense. Like if you're on board for one, you have to be on board for the other. And once it happened, I was like, well, of course that fucking perfectly makes sense because at that point, Luke Skywalker is trying to restart the Jedi Temple. So who the fuck else would it be? It's got to be him.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I see it all of those ways. I don't agree with, or not. I don't agree with you, Chad, but I didn't feel the same way about the episode. Like I thought it was fine. I thought it was tight. I liked the sequences. I liked the way that the story threaded. I thought it was great. Working up to the culmination with Moff Gideon, that was so not a boring vanilla like we've done this 1,000 times kind of final boss fight. It was good. It wasn't earth shattering, but it was good. I like the way that the whole thing resolved. I think Luke didn't like save it for me, I guess is what I'm saying in that sense. I think I kind of was just like, and like Ben said, like that's what I thought too. I was like, oh, yeah, this makes logical, perfect sense, like chronologically in the lore of Star Wars, And then there was part of me that was just like, the age regression thing and like, does it have to be Luke? Couldn't it have been somebody else? I mean, do we really need to bring, and I think part of why I'm saying that is, again, the damn Sequel-ogy, man, just ruined so many things. And, I guess I'm still traumatized from that, in the sense that it's like, okay, so now we're going to bring Luke into like, okay, this is its own thing. And we've established that as we've talked about this show for 4 episodes over 2 seasons, right? This show is its own thing with its own people, characters, all of that. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't need to shoehorn in any special appearances by any special people. And Ben, I got to say, I disagree with you. Boba Fett never had the screen time in the lore that Luke did. Like now we're getting it. Before we didn't. So and from that angle, I can definitely make a case that, yeah, I'd much rather see Boba Fett like that than Luke come in. That being said, I think it's really mostly from the trauma from the Sequel-ogy. You know what I mean? That I'm scared that they're going to try to shoehorn in some classic character and ruin the damn show. I think that's where that thought came from. I'm not saying I wasn't psyched to see Luke. Really, I mean, we're seeing Luke now. I guess in the Sequel-ogy was when he was at his most powerful, but this is like when he's in his prime. You know what I mean? And he just walks through there and he just wrecks the joint, and it was tight.
That's what I'm saying. We've never seen Luke Skywalker this powerful before, and so I
totally
think it dovetails nicely with never really seeing Boba Fett be powerful before.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, of course, the story revolved around Luke. He's had plenty of screen time, but like even in Return of the Jedi, he's supposed to be badass, and we kind of don't really, we don't get to see him really. Like it's more all the fighting and stuff is, like all of his duels with Darth Vader are more conversational and more emotional rather than
and daddy this
him
and daddy
just
that.
like,
yes,
yeah, him just like
walking through and lacing the joint up,
lacing those droids up. Yeah,
totally. No, you're right. Ben, I misconstrued what you said. I thought you were coming at it from a different angle there. So that's why I made the comment about Fett.
You make a good point, and my only retort to the point is if Luke doesn't come back again in this show, and that was it, which I hope is the case, then in a way it's like a mirror image where like Boba Fett got 10 seconds of screen time in the original trilogy, and if Skywalker gets a minute of screen time in this and that's that, I'm cool with it. If he like digitally gets a fucking sweet role in the rest of this, then I'm kind of like, nah. But if this is it, then I'm pretty stoked about it.
No, that would be an egregious use of this. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it.
You might see him in like, the like communication hologram or something sometime down the road, like for a second, but I don't think you'll see him like that again.
Yeah.
And you're saying that using him more would be egregious, Ben? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Agree. I agree totally. I don't the de-aging thing, while cool, and it's a way to kind of get a lot of different mileage out of aging actors, which is sort of the bane of being an actor. It's just not quite there yet. Like the Moff Tarkin was the best of the 3.
And
but
Leia
the
was
Princess
shit
Leia one
yeah.
and honestly, this one, the way that the mapping works or whatever, like it just when they were speaking, it just didn't. There was something wrong about the mouths and the way the mouth was moving. It just did not look right.
That said, I mean, the Leia one, in my opinion, wasn't needed. Looking at the back of her for a moment in Rogue One would have been fine.
I agree.
But in this case, like, as soon as I saw Hamill in this and I was like, okay, it's not the best effect, I'm okay and I'm willing to forgive the effect because this is a really awesome story moment.
Yeah.
Whereas I wasn't willing to kind of really like give the effect a break in Rogue One because I didn't think it was necessary. So I was kind of on board, maybe, you know? But I agree, it wasn't the best effect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Benny, maybe not the most useful question to pose to you, considering you were spoiled, but did you have any sort of emotion pop up when he came in, or not as such?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was spoiled for me. Like, I was like, okay, this has to, I was fairly convinced that was what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. So, like you said, as soon as the X-Wing came on screen, I was like, that's him. And I was psyched. And I just continued to get more psyched as it went on. And, you know, I mean, the entire culmination of everything, you know, up to, you know, Mando giving Grogu away and, you know, taking his helmet off and all that stuff. It was just really seriously emotional and in a really good way, you know, not on any kind of cheesy, shitty way. Like,
no,
it was hitting me in the feels like a great drama movie would. And I was psyched about that. Yeah,
I gotta say the cherry on the whole. A couple of thoughts, but the cherry on the whole Luke lacing up those robots was when he force squeezes the last one, and it implodes. Man, it was great, very satisfying to see that.
Like his daddy.
Yeah. It was rumored that like Luke kind of had control of like dark side powers, that sort of. You know, he force chokes creatures at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, and then he crushes that robot. Those are all sort of like dark side powers. So it's kind of cool.
You know, you know what he should have force choked? He should have force choked the rest of the cast of the last two stupid Sequel-ogy movies, and then we wouldn't have had to see them.
That should have been the end of it.
It just kills everybody.
All right, let's. Are we good with this? Can we talk about the little post credits thing and then wrap this whole thing up?
Sounds good.
I'm Rey Skywalker.
My name is Rey. I'm going to bury my lightsabers in the dirt.
Oh, God, shoot me in the face. Jesus. Worst ever.
Well, speaking of tropes that the corporate overlords have brought into the universe, post-credit scenes, there was one on this episode.
I was so bummed out to see one, but I love this show so much, so I was like, okay. But then it turned into basically a trailer for, I'm assuming, like what you guys were talking about a couple of weeks ago, of the 50,000 new shows they're going to come out with.
But this one wasn't announced.
Star Wars and...
I believe.
What's that?
This one wasn't announced.
Yeah, they announced
this
fucking 75 shows, but this wasn't one of them, so this was another surprise, evidently.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, cool. I hope that they don't just destroy what they're building here with Mando in oversaturating everybody with, you know, material and content. Like, I mean, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like, I saw the trailer for that the other day and I was like, damn, that looks really good, man. You know, like, that was the first time I was stoked about a superhero thing since Infinity ended, because I just, like, fatigued to the wall with
WandaVision
superheroes
looks
at this
interesting
point.
too.
What's that, buddy?
WandaVision looks interesting too.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one.
About. I'm definitely interested in checking it out.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that. I don't know. It looked cool. I mean, seeing Bib Fortuna was awesome, and I can't believe the actor just passed away. That was terrible.
My only frustration with the post-credit scene, which I think we've touched on other examples of post-credits, is like you go from a hugely emotional moment with Mando taking off his mask and Luke Skywalker, and then it's like you don't even have time to fucking begin to digest how you felt about the cinema you just watched, and it's just like, hang on, got something else for you. I'll change the scenery. It's like, okay, now I got something new to process, and I kind of would have preferred it not there, but I don't know. It's kind of a gripe to Kev, but like, I just didn't even get a fucking chance to sit on the goddamn thing I just watched, you know?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a gripe for sure, and a legitimate one.
The show looks good, though. It was awesome to see Hutt's, house again and all that stuff. Fortress, whatever.
Of course. I mean, that was the last place we saw Boba Fett. One of them anyway. So, yeah.
I like that Boba goes back to take the mantle. It's like, right on, bro.
Yeah, I know. I think that, I don't know, my final thought on that is like, cool. I hope the show's good. If we get the same creative team kind of running it, I'm sure it will be. I hope that they don't, again, I hope that they don't ruin everything they're building in Mando and what was built with the Marvel universe by oversaturating the universe with 300,000 new shows that are going to, that would be just. I'll lose it, man. I'll go postal.
What were your thoughts on that one, Benny?
We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's December of next year or something.
I like that. Yeah, it's December 2021.
I mean, thoughts on the deluge of shows that are coming, or just thoughts on the Boba Fett show?
Nah, just the post credits first, at least.
Just the post credits. Oh, whatever. It was fine. I thought it was funny that they literally redid the scene from Return of the Jedi, right down to
with Leia coming down the stairs.
Yeah, the Gamorrean guard falling down the stairs and all of that. It was all right. I don't know if I'm on board with it. We'll have to see it. I don't know if, again, I don't know if this is going to be an egregious overuse of Boba Fett. Are we going to get sick of Boba Fett?
Exactly.
Are we going to find out things we don't want to find out about Boba Fett? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to get sick of Boba Fett, dude, because they just made him so ultimate in this season.
I don't quite understand how you go from ultimate Boba Fett, awesome sharpshooter, fuck up stormtroopers, to sitting on Jabba's throne. I don't see how he becomes a crime lord. That's a really weird needle to thread. But fingers crossed for them.
Yeah. Well, it's like you were talking about earlier with the Yakuza honor amongst, thieves kind of, or honorable criminal sort of enterprise idea. That seems like what we're looking at here. So it could be interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
It sounds like they'll tie in a Darth Maul, because Darth Maul at the end of Solo as the crime lord stuff. I bet you that's where it's going, but who knows? That's pure speculation.
Maybe, dude. I don't know. I think they elevated the character too much in this season of Mandalorian to make him some scuzzy crime lord or a crime lord of any nature. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's sort of how I feel about it. So I'm like Ben said it best. We'll see.
Okay, NDR.
Okay, NDR. I really don't have any nuggets. I dropped my Joe Chill nugget, and we got a little bit of mileage out of that. Grand Moff Chill. So
yeah, I got one nugget. The other couple I've sprinkled throughout. In the Mononoke one, the Ahsoka episode, the arch supporting the gong was actually a Huttese arch, and it's designed from a Macquarie drawing back in the day, and it was supposed to be part of Jabba the Hutt's palace, which is kind of a cool little nugget.
Whoa, that is a super cool nugget, man. Nicely done.
And that's it. That's all my nuggets.
Benoit, you got anything?
I already kind of dropped some lore nuggets, but that's it.
Deaths.
You died 40 times, bro.
I died 40 times. Ben died no times. You died twice.
No, there was a Batman assassination in there somewhere.
Oh, that's true. A bat assassination. There definitely was. The Joe Chill.
I got fucking bataranged.
Mulveranged.
You got mulveranged, bro.
Yeah, mulveranged.
Okay, so I had a Star Wars death in the first 2 seconds because I got confused with my naming, and I called Return of the Jedi The Last Jedi, which is egregious. Then Chad used the word homage when he clearly should have been using Hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And then I screwed up the whole thing with the no dialogue by the Asian guy who turns out is a Disney Imagineer. And he actually said quite a bit. My memory was inventing versions of the show. Oh, my God. Then I I had a couple of dad jokes that landed, but this one did not. And that's when we were talking about Mando, and I said, "Oh man, Doe."
I'm gonna kill you again for that.
I know. Well, okay, we can add that as a death too. I'll do that right now as I'm tallying the rest of my deaths. The next
It
one
might
was
work
Chad.
if you said dough like Homer Simpson.
Oh, it would.
That
It probably
would have
would've.
worked. I didn't. It would have worked fine if I had done that, but I didn't because I made it purposely stupid. So I deserved to die, and I really deserved to die just right there too.
Man, I was listening to one of the Brucemas minisodes where you went fucking bananas about like Marge getting a monkey from Troy McClure, and that cracked me up today, dude. Holy shit.
I believe I cut that out. Did I?
I
Not?
believe I added that the fuck back in because it was so goddamn funny.
You're such a tool. I hate when you do that. And don't ask me.
It was so
Jesus,
good.
man. Yeah. The smoking monk. Better cut down there, Smokey. Okay, so Chad had a death that was the Star Wars that doesn't exist sequel-ogy death. You were talking about that towards the end there. I don't remember exactly what happened, but you definitely died like Porkins from the first Star Wars movie in a fireball death. You like that, Pat? And then I like that sand trooper picture you sent, by the way. That's really cool. Or beach trooper, or whatever the hell you said it was.
The Shoretrooper.
Sorry, the Shoretrooper. You got the little, the kind of the light blue, so he blends in with the water. So stupid, dude. And the red because he blends in with the sunset later in the day when he's fighting. Yeah. And then the final death was I had a Void Witch Bihn's death, which really kind of kills us all every time. I think. No, sort of. I mean, right? Because I dropped the. I don't know. Now I'm starting to think stupid Counselor Troy joke, and you guys didn't hear it because the.
No, it was pretty good. We just
I do love your Deanna Troy impersonation, though.
Well, thank you.
By Grab Thaw's hammer, let's get to ratings.
That was terrible. I love it.
That was pretty bad. Wait, show death.
No, yeah, let's put that in there. I mean, it wasn't bad in this. I actually thought you were doing it on purpose like that. Sorry.
It sort of was, but it's still,
That was actually very, if I may, it was very much like the car commercial that he does in the beginning of the movie, sort of. When he's like, "Buy Grab Thaw hammers, can you believe the savings?" or whatever.
The line is, "Buy Grab Thaw's hammer, what a savings." Yeah. They're like a Circuit City or something.
Totally, dude. Oh, my God.
They're like there to cut the ribbon on a Circuit City.
Exactly. Oh,
totally, bruh.
Wow, a lot of deaths, a lot of post-show deaths. So ratings, mine's short and sweet. 10. The show's amazing. I love it. I can't wait to see what they do next.
It's letters.
You're dead again.
Next.
Another death. You get it wrong every fucking time. Four thumbs up. I loved it.
I know. You'll never know if I did that on purpose or not. I won't reveal it. Okay, so you're right. Let me switch my rating up. 10. I'm not going to give it a plus. I'll give it an A. A. Solid A. This show is incredible. I love it. Next. Next.
I love that.
I'll go. It's short and sweet. Solid A.
Solid A, sweet. Yeah, I'm the same. It's a solid A. I had a few gripes I spoke about. Nothing was, a major issue. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, as far as I'm concerned, this is the Sequel-ogy, and the actual Sequel-ogy can go fuck itself. Cheers to this show. Thank
Folks,
you for helping.
Refer to our original show trailer if you want to hear how Chad thinks about it.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers to this show, and I really hope they keep it up. And I echo what you guys said earlier in this episode, where it kind of has brought my interests in Star Wars back to life again after the last couple of years. So, yeah, more like this, please. And thank you.
Amen, brother.
Amen, brother. Good times, man.
I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
Fuck yeah. We got to do some of those too, man. I would love to do Rogue One.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll put it on the list.
Maybe this year sometime, because there isn't going to be any more Star Wars for a little while, I think.
Agree. Algorithm. Actually, before we get to that, I want to remind everybody again, to join us on social media. We are on all social media channels using the handle at EBD Podcast. Please join in on the conversation there. You got thoughts about this show? Tell them to us. We want to hear them. Also, don't forget to check out the Point Nemo podcast. Vince was our first guest a couple of weeks back, and he is firing up new episodes of that podcast today. So be sure to check that out. And look for the Rolling Stones. They're going to be having a new album coming out soon, too. If anybody's interested in that, that sounds like it's going to be another good one. Algorithm, what's coming up next week?
Didn't Expertise just drop a solo album?
He released an old solo album on the streaming services.
That's it. He re-released that album, yeah.
Have you check it out?
So check that out.
I will do it.
Which I need to reach out to him about because it doesn't fucking play in Australia. I don't know what the story is.
Oh, really? I found it on I use Amazon Music actually, and I found it on Amazon pretty easily.
They don't like dirty sand gropers, Chad.
No.
Ooh.
Nice reference, Benny.
Yeah, baby. Algorithm, what do we have going on next week, man?
We are going to a throwback, an old request by Rybull and many others, Beastmaster.
The Mark Singer Rip Torn John Amos classic. Can't wait.
Nice palette.
Oh my God. Glistening Singer in this is just great. The original Beastmastery power set. Folks, be sure to watch Beastmaster and tune in with us next week as we extol the virtues of that classic 80s film. As always, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on another time.
See ya.
See ya.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode. Folks, you can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/86. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of great ways you can do that. You can rate us and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast nuggleberries. That's one great way you can support us. Another great way is to join our Patreon. The bottom tier is super affordable. You can also tell a friend to check out the show. When you're out and about, cruising around the town in your X-Wing like Mark Hamill, tell your friends to check out the show. It really helps a lot. You can find us on most social media using the handle at EBD Podcast. Stay tuned next week as we tackle the classic Beastmaster starring Mark Singer. Thanks so much for joining us, folks, and we'll see you on another time.
I wanted to be in Star Wars, and then they cast Bill Burr in my role, and I got very upset. And he doesn't even know who George Lucas is. And now it's time to go on a rant on the intranet.
You get out of your system?
I definitely, no.